Alrighty guys, welcome back to Shifting to Solids. Today we're going to be talking about the fillet tool, but before we get there, let's talk about some announcements. I'm teaming up with TooTallToby for the first ever 3D CAD versus CAD team tournament. Starting January 10th, I want you guys to tune in and watch students battle it out in a 4-part live stream event to prove who's the fastest 3D modeler. There'll be epic challenges, live commentary, and awesome prizes from 3D Connection as well as some other donors. So take a look here. On our first day, we'll have SMILEY and the JAYUS going up against each other, as well as Mr. Fancy Pants going up against NXC. These are my students, and these kids have been working really hard, so let's give them the support that they deserve. Mark your calendars, spread the word, and get ready for the Ultimate CAD Showdown. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and we'll see you live on January 10th. The links for that live stream will be in the description below. Also, something else we're going to be doing, I decided to start a brand new Onshape Q&A series kind of video type deal, and I need your input. So if you got a question about sketches, assemblies, features, or anything else Onshape related that doesn't fall within the lines of my normal weekly videos, drop a question below and I'll tackle them, kind of one-off videos, or we'll do little bits here and there. But go ahead and scan that QR code and that'll take you to a Google form, fill it out. Let me know what you need help with. A lot of you guys have been doing this in the comments, but I think I want to try to turn this into a more collected, like, hey, this is this question from this person, let's get it answered. So whether you're a beginner looking to level up your skills, there's no question too big or too small. Let me know and let's keep learning and let's make Onshape simple. So let's go from there. So today we'll get back to our reason you're here is the fillet tool. So a lot of what you do in Onshape requires things to be rounded. If I'm doing something and I'm cutting something out on my table, my plasma table, I don't want sharp, pointy edges. Me and my wife were just talking about some things I'm going to make for the kids out of metal to hang up on the wall. We got her those magnet tiles for Christmas. And my wife's like, yeah, but we're not going to have super pointed, sharp edges, right? So exactly, we want to have some rounded corners, and that's what a fillet is. Mathematically, it's putting a circle up in a corner of a shape and rounding that based off of a specific radius. We showed you guys how that fillet tool works from the 2D version. Now we're going to go into the 3D universe, and we're going to show how the 3D fillet tool works. So what you're going to need to do now, I have a sketch that I'm going to pull up for you, and this will be in the description below. We're going to be making this part today. And as you notice, there's not very many rounded corners. Well, the idea is I want you to have a part that then you could go and round corners to. Some ways I like doing this, I used this a lot when I was 3D printing. You'd want to round corners to make it easier for the printer to go up at different angles instead of a hard, sharp 90. The printers didn't always like that. So this gave it something to kind of build up into and go from there. If you're doing machining, it's going to be a nice finished product. If you're doing welding, you could show some welds. So we'll show this today from a bunch of different aspects, but we're going to start by drawing this shape. So we'll go back to our part studio. We'll get started like we always do. We'll start on that top plane, and we're going to start a sketch. Shift S, N to normalize, and P to hide those planes. And for starters, we need to draw a rectangle that is 3 by 5. So I'm going to do a center point rectangle. We'll start at my origin. It's going to be 5 inches wide by 3 inches tall. Once we're done there, let's start adding some circles, okay? So I need a circle, center point circle, and that circle needs to be 1/2 inch, so 0.5. And it needs to be 0.5 from this top, as well as 0.5 from the left. And I got pretty close to eyeballing it. Now at this point, we need 4 other ones, or 3 other circles for a total of 4. I could do a variety of different things. I could do a pattern. I could make some, just draw all 4 and dimension all 4. But I'm all about moving quick. So what I'm going to do, one of my favorite features was the mirror tool. Some cool things you can do. Most of you guys are used to drawing a like a mirror line, but you can use those planes kind of to help you out. So that's a little quick tip. So I'm going to click the mirror feature. I'm going to use this as my mirror line, and I'm going to click that circle. I'm going to do it again and click this plane as my, so if we go down here, my front plane is going to be my mirror line, and I'm going to select both of those holes. So what's nice is I don't have to redraw, and I also don't have to draw a construction line. I know a lot of people are used to drawing construction lines. When I learned AutoCAD, when I was in college, that was the first thing we would do. We'd always draw two dotted construction lines. It's not necessary, but if that's how you learn, that's fine. That's great. I put those in the print as well. So if that's how you want to do things, you could do that. So from here, let's shut those planes back off. I need to draw a rectangle in the center. So we'll do a R shortcut key for that center point rectangle off my origin. And this rectangle needs to be 1.5 wide by 2 inches tall. And you'll see now it is fully defined. And now we're going to extrude our plate. The one thing I wanted to show you first, though, we are going to end up rounding these corners when we turn it into a 3D model, but I want to do one right now so you can see. So if you're used to the sketch fillet tool up here, follow me up to the top, you'll see Shift and F. It's the same shortcut key for if you're in 3D or you're in 2D. So that's really cool. I'm going to do just this one corner right here, and we're going to do it as a 0.25 radius. So we'll just say, okay, this isn't on the drawing that I'm going to be giving you as practice. I just want to show you one corner rounded and how that works before I switch it to 3D. So now we're going to switch to 3D. We'll drop the fillet tool. Follow me up here. We'll click extrude. And I made the dimensions for this one 1 inch, which is cool because it defaults to 1 inch at the extrude. So that'll be pretty easy. Again, we're focusing on using the fillet tool, not so much the other tools. However, I realized I didn't select my centerpiece. We want those holes to come out, but we do not want that plate to come out. We're going to use that geometry here in a second. And another quick tip, if I want to reuse that geometry, I'm going to flip that direction the other way. And I'm going to use that rectangle off the top of that. So now you'll see I filleted and I rounded that corner, and it gave me a rounded edge by doing it in that drawing. I am definitely of the mindset of doing as much work in the 2D sketch as I can, to where all I have to do is extrude it and then it's already done. But if you want to use the fillet tool to round those corners, you can do the same thing as well. So we're going to turn this sketch back on. We're going to angle this ever so slightly, and we're going to pick just that center. If we go back to my drawing, you will see that that needs to go up 1.5 inches from the top of that face. So we'll do the same thing, Shift E to extrude. Tab a couple times to get down 1.5 for my extrusion there. You'll see I'm starting to take shape. Now what I need to do is go to my backside, and we're going to start a sketch. So select that face so it turns orange. Click Shift S. We're going to normalize. And now I need a rectangle. We're going to go center point rectangle. We're going to align with that origin, but we're not going to click the origin. We're going to kind of hover up above it, click somewhere off into space, and then click the top. What we just did there was attach a bunch of constraints that we're not going to have to do afterwards. Well, in my drawing, I know this needs to be 0.5. Some of you guys get in the habit of, you're like, oh, it's asking me for a dimension here. It is, but you don't always have to put it. So what I like to do is go escape. And now I'm going to give it a dimension from here to here. Needs to be 0.25. And then I need this, out of the way, dimension from here to here. We need to make sure that's centered. It should be 0.5 on that side, and you'll see again, gray means driven. We'll check on this side. This should be 0.5 as well. So 0.5 plus 0.5 plus 0.5 equals 1.5, which is exactly what we drew. So that's good. We'll zoom back out. We're going to turn to extrude, and this time we're going to remove this face. And what's cool is we're going to remove the face. We'll do up to next, and it'll stop at the very next part. I could do up to face as well, but up to next will work, because if we ever change this geometry, it's always going to go to that end. And based off our drawing, it only goes through there. So we'll say okay. And now our deal is starting to take shape. I'm going to draw one more sketch on this plane right here. So Shift S again to bring that and end to normalize. This time we need a circle that is with a radius of 0.75. So we'll just click here. I could draw a circle and do 0.75 times 2 if you want to do that. The way I like to do this, though, is using that arc tool. So there's a center point arc. So our center point is going to be this corner here. I know it needs to touch here, and I know it needs to touch here. And then I just tell it a radius of 0.75, and then we're good to go. So I have that. I also need a circle right here that is 0.5 in diameter, and that needs to be 0.75 from the side and 0.75 from this plate right here. And we'll say, okay, accept that. Now we're going to click this face and this, or surface, sorry, and this, and we're going to extrude those pieces, but we're going to remove, and we're going to go up to the face of here. So you'll see we're cutting out that face, and now we get the part that we wanted. All right, so now all that's done. Let's get into actually using that fillet tool. I know it was a lot, but I know you guys are liking the practice models and being able to construct some 3D geometry. Some of you guys are stuck in 2D, and giving you a step-by-step is going to help that out. So again, follow me up top. The fillet tool, just like it does in 2D, says create constant variable. Keep moving my mouse. Create constant variable partial or asymmetric edge fillets, or create full round fillets. Specify measurement type, radius and width, and control type distance. So we're going to show you a bunch of different ways to use this tool today, but let's get it started. And to start with, it says, if we look here, it pops up edge and full round. I'm going to start with full round because that one's pretty much, it's easy to kind of go through it. It makes the most sense. But full round, what it's going to be is I want this to round completely. So first side face, second side face, and the face I want to round. So if I'm going to do this, my first side face, let's go here and we'll click that one. Notice that it automatically goes to the next thing. I really like that. I wish they would do that more in more things in Onshape. Now I'll click my second side. Actually, we want to do this one, sorry. So this would be first side, second side, and then the face that's going to get rounded is going to be this face. So you'll see I did a full round, and I didn't have to type in any geometry. So that's really cool. If you want a full circle based off of that, that's how you could go about doing that. Obviously, for what we're doing, we don't really want that because we're going to lose our holes. So let's try it on a different spot. Let's do first side, second side, and the faces to round. Let's try that guy. So we'll round that like so, and that looks pretty cool. Let's go ahead and leave that like that. So we'll say, okay, we'll accept it. And now it's rounded. Now that's not what the print called for, but this is a block for you to play around with and do whatever you need to do. Okay. If we go back to our first sketch and we check our geometry, we made this a fillet of 0.25, so a radius of 0.25. To stay consistent, I want the rest of these corners to also be 0.25. So now I'm going to show you how to do that using the 3D fillet tool. We're going to press Shift and F on the keyboard, and I'm going to click my line, and I'll just click all three that I want, and I tell it a radius of 0.25. Yes, I know it was already there. I'm just getting the habit of typing it. And now everything will match. A couple of tips I've figured out too along the way. If you hover your mouse over the text box, where it's asking you, and you use your scroll wheel, you can kind of move it back and forth, and it looks like it's going up by 0.1 every time. So if I'm at 1/4 inch, 0.25, that's 0.35, and I can keep going until I get those pink lines. And what's happening at that pink line is that I have invalid geometry and it will not work. I can't over round something. So we'll go ahead and keep it at 0.25. Some things we look here, you can do a partial fillet, variable fillet. But for what I typically do, I either use full round or just a basic edge fillet with a dimension. So we'll say, okay. And you'll see now all four sides, we'll look at that from the top view. All four sides are rounded exactly the way this one was, just using a different technique. I talked about using things for 3D printers. For me personally, I might want to be showing how this is going to get welded to something. Maybe this top part is one piece and the bottom plate is another, and it's going to be welded to it. Maybe in some sort of fixture. Let's do a fillet, and I can click all the way around, and you'll see it's going to give me, maybe it's only a little bit of a shallow weld. So we'll say, okay, 125, and you'll see I get a nice rounded edge up to here. Okay. Let's say this is used for something, maybe some stamping or something, and you're going to want to round this bottom edge. Okay, maybe to make it easier for your printer, or it's just the overall look you want. We'll go a fillet again. I'm going to click here, and you'll see it picks everything all the way around. If I do partial fillet, I can have it do only part of it. If I want it asymmetrical, it's going to be invalid geometry because of what the pre-done stuff. But if I tell it I need it 0.25, it'll round and it'll go all the way around like so. If I also want to do this top edge so it matches, I can do that as well. 0.05, let's make it 0.1. And you'll see that the more I go, it'll start to round that out until it can't round anymore. So 0.25, keep that there. Another way to do this too, you could use this to show kind of like a countersink almost, or just rounding holes. If you're using this for printing and you want to make sure the bolt holes can line up pretty easy, you can do it on your holes. So we'll go through here and slide that back. A little more, 0.02. Oh, we made it too big on our other one. Let's go back to our fillet. Oh, there we go. And we'll round this corner. So if I click my holes, you can make them kind of look like grommets. And then you can do that. So we'll say, okay. So all kinds of different things you can do. Let's round this corner because we haven't done that yet. Let's do an inside fillet. Let's do it right here. Around here, click this piece and this piece, like so. Another thing you can do is click fillet and then select a bunch of stuff. If I selected the whole thing and gave it a measurement, it's going to go and it'll round all of it. So if you want everything to be rounded for whatever reason, you could do it. I know when I first started 3D printing, I would just do random stuff on Fusion 360 just to see what it could do. and how my printer could hold up. But essentially, you're now playing with, let's shut that sketch off, a bunch of different ways you can round edges. So feel free to look in the description at this print. Click this video help up here too. I've been updating the QR code. If you do that, it'll take you to the list of all these videos. I know you're probably watching this on YouTube already, but if you're like watching this on your school computer or you're watching it yourself at home and you want to have a second screen as your phone and you're gonna like watch me walk you through it, you can do that as well. This is going to be that print. Remember, click that link down in the description for the Onshape Q&A. Go ahead and fill out that form for me, guys. It'll help, and it's going to answer whatever questions you guys have. So that's pretty much going to do it for me. Remember, tune into the tournament. I'm really excited. I think the kids are going to be working really hard, and they've been practicing even over Christmas break right now. So tune in, let them know you got the support, and I will see you guys next time.